Welcome ladies and gentlemen, Brad Carlin-Smith here, Head of Property Sales for the Hopkins Group, giving you a little market update here in July 21. Today we're going to do something slightly different. My great cameraman here, Harrison. Hello Harrison.
Hi there, Brad.
He's going to fire 4 questions that I get asked probably 4 to 5 times a week. And I thought it'd be great for the audience to hear my answers. So Harrison, fire away. Question number 1. It's probably the number 1 question that we're asking today because it's the number 1 question I get every week. And in essence, it depends on who you listen to and it depends on what you're looking at as far as property is concerned. Certainly, COVID last year had a massive effect on everyone globally, whether you're in property or not. The effect was that we moved into an area or a marketplace which was an unknown. We actually had never experienced it before. We weren't too sure what the effects were going to be. In essence, and to summarise very briefly, everyone thought the property market, in particular in Melbourne, was probably going to suffer. That we were going to see, I think the worst prediction I saw was somewhere around 20 to 30% drop in median price value. The great news is that didn't happen. What we did is we proved yet again that the property market in Melbourne in particular is pretty resilient. And what we saw yesterday with some figures that came out was that the property market median actually rose for the last 12 months to around 13.5%, which is a great outcome considering what we've been through. Out of interest, the stock market, they say, went up 20+%. What COVID? You'd have to say that we are showing signs that we have a very buoyant, a very strong and a very stable financial position in this country, and property is no exception. Yeah, it's a really good question. I think the timing has really changed in a way. Timing has always been a personal thing in my opinion. And when I say timing, it has to be that you're ready to sell, that we think the market is going to be receptive to your property on the market, and so on. Essentially, there is no good or bad time to sell. So I think so long as all your moons have aligned and you are in a position where you are ready to sell, if the property's vacant, for example, I think that's a good opportunity to put your property to market. If your property is well presented, if it's going to appeal to a broader section of the buying public, i.e. investors, first home buyers, owner-occupiers, downsizers, you know, we're covering a really broad spectrum of the market, I'd say let's go to market. Yeah, it's a really good question also. The methods do differ. Obviously, we have some options. We can be private sale, which is all about the price. We can be an auction, where we're less about the price, more about a price guide or a range, and we're really putting it back to the buying public to tell us what they're prepared to pay for the property. We've just listed a property in Hague Street, which is a expression of interest, which is really an opportunity for us to put it back to the market and say, we're interested in your feedback in relation to where you see the value sit. I think the selling method also is dictated very much by banks. And let me just explain that very briefly. A bank at the moment will be instructing just about all of its borrowers to be very cautious and be very aware about signing what we call unconditional contracts. If a property goes to auction, you are required to sign an unconditional contract, which means you need to be able to pay the deposit, sign the contract, sold sticker goes on the board, property sold. Banks are instructing their clients not to do that in many instances. They would like you to sign your contract subject to finance. And the reason why they're doing that is they want to make sure in what we call a very buoyant market that you're not paying too much for that property. And in some instances where people do that, they may come back to you and discuss with you what they call your LVR, so your borrowing capacity against the value of that property, and they may in fact ask you to contribute more. So I would suggest to you at the moment the majority of our listings are private sale. We do have some expressions of interest. We've got a couple of auctions coming up. So it really is property dependent, and also I would suggest to you if you're not dealing with us and you're dealing with another agent, it's definitely a conversation you should be having about selling method. I think that everyone wants to have the answer to that. In all my time in real estate, Everyone wants to know what's going to happen in the future. I think what we can do is maybe buck the trend a little bit and look at the past. And I would suggest to you that what we're going to see is some fairly consistent, steady growth. I can't see the property market going backwards. What I can see, given first home buyer grants are changing, some of the federal and state government grants are changing, some of them have stopped. I think that that could have an impact on the marketplace on the basis that it could cool pricing off a little bit. The other impact we've got is competition. We don't have a huge influx of immigration into this country at the moment, and I think that in the past has really driven pricing up. So I think over the next couple of months, my advice to anyone, if you're thinking of selling, good conversations to have with your agents, really look at your marketplace, look at what's been selling, look at the type of properties, how they're presented, and have those conversations around whether it's a good time or not to sell. If you're in the market to buy, just be really cautious, and obviously we would highly recommend that you work with an advocate or someone who is knowledgeable in the industry to ensure that they keep your feet on the ground, that you're not getting caught up in the emotional rigour of negotiating and buying property, and in turn in 12 months time looking back and saying, geez, we paid way too much. So thanks mate, I really appreciate those questions, and I look forward to speaking to you soon in our next market update. Good luck with your property needs in the marketplace. Have a great day.